Hi, folks. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch. Fair warning, a rant incoming on this video. Just is. Was talking to someone today, and just about all the things that's going on. And both of us, in a manner of speaking, both kind of said the same thing around the same amount of time in the conversation. Is that everything that we're seeing, it's all because of the wickedness of this world. And I want to kind of focus in on that because I know that there's a lot of people that think that, well, we can turn things around. We can elect the right kind of person. If we get in there and we change the Republican Party, if we get some good electors in there, if we change the county leadership, if we infiltrate our county governments and our state governments, and if we, push these, Republican and conservative agendas, well, things will be different. If we get a third party in there, if we're able to elect a third party, just throw our weight behind that, then things will change. If we get Donald Trump elected, if we get him in office, things will change and we'll turn around, and this country will be saved and will be changed and will be what it once was. It'll be 1950 all over again. I'm not saying that those things can't happen, and I'm not saying that I'm not trying to discourage you by any means. I'm not trying to discourage you from doing any of those things. But I'm telling you from my perspective, my opinion, what is happening in America today and in our culture, and it's really more than America, it's certainly Western culture. It's happening because it's inevitable. It's not inevitable because we have for decades now done, fractional reserve banking, fiat currency. It's not inevitable because we've racked up over $30 trillion in debt. It's not inevitable because of our geopolitical policies around the world where we stick our nose in businesses that we shouldn't do. It's not inevitable because we have allowed this wide open border policy, or because we have encouraged too much monoculture farming and added all these chemicals into our, foods and things. It's not inevitable because our education system is basically in the garbage. It's not inevitable because we have a senile old buffoon, and that's probably about the nicest thing I could say, running this country, or previous presidents actually running this country. Those things are not what's causing all of this collapse inevitable. My opinion, and it's strictly just that. I'm not saying that this is the word. It's just an opinion, folks. Is that this collapse that we're seeing, and more yet to come, it is inevitable because we as a people, in general, as a society, have turned our backs on God and has just embraced and welcomed in this self-gratifying wickedness. That's what it is. You can go back to Noah's time period, the civilization that existed then. You can go back to Jeremiah's time period and the state of Israel, ancient Israel at that time. You can go back to the Greek and the Romans and just about every other empire that's existed. And when they embrace evilness, wickedness, self-gratifying, satanic pleasures, they eventually collapse. They collapse in on themselves. And the reason why they do, I believe, and there is scripture to back this opinion up, but this doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly what it means. But my opinion is that they collapse because the hand of God, the blessings, the protection is taken off of them. He removes his hand. We see that in scripture with ancient Israel. when they turned their backs on the Father, the Creator. And he said, I'm just going to give you over to yourself. I'm removing my hand of protection and blessing off of you. And now you can just have your way with your own lascivious selves. Yeah, this abhorrent behavior. Go ahead. That's what you want. Have at it and see what happens. That's what I think we're seeing in the United States today and with the Western world. Now, I know that you could say, well, look at China. They're not necessarily the model child for godly behavior. They do have morals, but certainly I wouldn't consider them godly biblical morals. But that's not the point. America, for over 200 years, regardless of, what you believe happened and all the other things that happened that America did that were not good, as a whole, in general, America and the West, but America specifically, embraced biblical truths, godly morality, traditional family values. We embraced it. And America flourished, and America grew at a rapid pace. We advanced in every possible way faster than any civilization on record. By far faster. We have done more in a little under 250 years than most civilizations can do in 500 or 1,000 years. We have advanced. We have become wealthy to the point that the average person in America lives a more luxurious lifestyle than kings and emperors a century or two ago. I mean, that's just the truth. It is. The average person has conveniences and luxuries that even the ultra-wealthy couldn't have even dreamed of having not that long ago. We have grown in ways that when you really step back and look at human history, it's quite astonishing what America has done. Really. I mean, there's not an advancement that's happened in the last 100 to 150 years that America either wasn't leading it or had their hands all in it. And I'm talking about good things, medical advancements, technological advancements, advancements in just general wealth and peace and freedom to where average people, average working class people can actually own a home, own the property, have personal possessions, have certain freedoms, go on vacations, That's what America has been. And in part, I think, or a large part, America was that way and has been that way because for the most part, and I know there's all kinds of, this and this and this, but generally speaking, America looked to God. They embraced Christianity. They embraced the Bible. They embraced truth. They embraced this concept of trying to live as much as Jesus, Yeshua himself lived. They embraced that. They embraced right and wrong and clear definitions of that. They embraced the laws for the most part in the Bible. Don't do this, don't do that, honor this, honor that. We embraced it. We embraced this biblical worldview, this Christian concept. And I think that's in a large part why America has done what it's done. But those days are over. Those days are over because America kicked God out of schools. And now here we are, 50, 60 years later, and American schools are absolute hellholes, pardon the term, but they are. They absolutely are. Violence, drugs, sex, ridiculous left communist ideology, and on top of that, really, really, really poor actual education. Look what happened to the schools. We normalized and legalized and then even encouraged and fought for murdering innocent life in this country. And now here we are, we're cursing God. We're making it normal to be, to live a life against him and to curse his name. We're normalizing absolutely horrible lifestyles. I mean, unbiblical lifestyles. We destroyed the sanctity of marriage as a nation, and then we started encouraging just about every lascivious behavior that a human being can think of. And we've normalized it as a society. We've said it's okay. We've broadcast it all over the place. And now they're teaching it to children. Not just teaching it, but really kind of forcing it on them. There was a study just recently, and I can't remember the exact number, so this isn't an exact quote, but it was asking students and parents of students if they felt pressured to encourage LGBTQ or to come out as that, and it was somewhere between 40 and 60%, depending on the parameters, that people did feel pressured. They felt pressured to accept this lifestyle. They felt pressured as a child to come out and say that, well, I'm not a boy, I'm actually a girl, or I'm actually this or that, or I put on a mask and I'm a puppy dog, and give me a litter box because I'm a kitty cat, whatever. They feel pressured. So we've gone from normalizing it to teaching it to actually forcing it on people. And now we are mentally and physically mutilating children. And it's legal. And I'm just really scratching the surface, I mean, you've got people standing behind pulpits of what's so-called churches that claim to be Christian, that claim to preach out of the Bible and all this, and they're saying that God and Jesus are transgender and that it's okay and that, gender is all this kind of other ridiculous things, and it's an absolute mockery. We as a nation, and when I say we, I know you're saying, but I'm not like that. I know, but you live in this nation. You're part of it, whether you like it or not. And it's happened because folks like you and I for decades have sat down and shut up and just tolerated it. Because that's what we've been told to do. That's what all these pastors told us. We have to tolerate them. We have to love them. And because we've done this for a couple of 3 generations now, we see the results of that. I believe in my heart, and you can say that I'm a fear-mongering doomsdayer, blah, blah, blah. I don't care anymore. I don't care. I don't care. If don't watch the channel, you're probably not welcome here anyway, so go somewhere else. I believe that America is going to and is experiencing a collapse. And again, like I said in the beginning of this, it's not because of all these other things. It's not because of poor management. It's not because of poor monetary policy. It's not because of, environmental or working conditions or supply chains or any of that kind of stuff. Those are all symptoms of the problem. America is in decline and is going to collapse, and along with the West, because America has turned its back on God. Not just that they don't need God, but now they're fighting against him. They didn't just say, you know what, I don't need to be a friend of God. I don't need to go to church. I don't need to. No, we've gone even further than that. We're actually trying to fight against God's way and encourage Satan's way. We're doing the opposite. And when would people start doing that? I think that they've already nailed in their coffin. Their coffin's been built. America is collapsing because America has embraced self-gratifying, satanic, lascivious, abhorrent behavior and said that that's godly, that that's good. It's absolute wickedness, folks. And so if you want to get involved in civic things and politics, and you want to try to change things in your locale or in your state, or even, believe that, a particular person getting elected in the office is going to change things, you're welcome too. I don't think horribly of you, okay? I'm telling you, though, from my opinion and perspective, even if we really did turn around, and I don't know that that's possible either, but let's just say that we have to turn. We still have to wage. We still have to pay our wages, our for our sins as a people, as a nation. We still have to pay the consequences. And so that's what we're seeing happen. I personally am surprised it's taken so long. But honestly, when you look in the grand scheme of things, it really isn't. Even if you go back to the 1960s up till now, you can see a decline. The 50s were amazing. I mean, that's the time period that most American historians look to as the biggest growth, the middle class. Everyone was buying a car and a home, and families were growing, and business was booming. And then we decided to start murdering our children and kicking God out of the schools and embracing more of this ungodly, anti-biblical behavior. And year by year, decade by decade, you can see a decline in America. You can graph it right out, folks. And so I really personally don't see that there's anything that's going to save this country next to a miracle from God. And, he can do that. He can do anything he wants. But I just don't see it happening. And so that's the level of preparedness that I'm looking at. That's how my mind is wrapping around getting ready. It's not wrapping it around getting ready for high inflation or for World War III, kind of like we did in World War I or World War II. It's not for a chaotic election or, economy going down. And it's not that. That's not the kind of stuff that I'm preparing for. Again, those are all symptoms and little pieces to the puzzle. I'm preparing for America to collapse because America has cursed God's name for so long through their mouth and through their actions that at some point America's going to have to pay, just like every other nation that's ever done that. Just like every one of them. They're going to have to pay. And we, the few ones that are attempting, that are trying to be righteous, the ones that are trying to do the right thing and stand up for truth and a biblical worldview, I think that there will be a level of protection over us. But we have to do our part, okay? We have to get away from this evil. That's why I advocate getting out of these cities. It doesn't mean that there's a whole lot, that there's no evil or anything out in the country. There's just less people to do evil things out in the country. And statistically, and it's true, people that live out in the country are more traditional. They're more biblically based. They have, stronger traditional and biblical worldviews. And there's just less of them. There's less. I mean, there's less people in my county that probably live in some, big city high-rise apartments. Seriously. I mean, that's not an exaggeration at all. There's 180 households in my zip code, and it's a big geographic zip code. So there's a reason. We have to get ready, though, for it. Because all this stuff that we're seeing happen, it's all being done because of what America has done to itself. And we have to just accept that we're not really going to change it. We're not tolerating it. We have to accept that it's the truth. Accept that 6 months from now, things aren't just going to miraculously turn around, or just because there's a good day in the stock market, or the dollar goes up, or inflation goes down this time around. That's not going to be the thing that changes America. Much like Sodom and Gomorrah, much like the civilization of Noah's time, and many, many others since then. The only way to change it is to burn it to the ground and then build something new. Because then all this wickedness, all this wicked ideology out there, I don't wish people to suffer and die, but it's gotten so big and gone so far now. The only way for it to go away is to Sodom and Gomorrah it, to put it in the nicest censor-compliant way I can. You may disagree with me. That is totally fine. You can still somewhat have an opinion in this country. But if you in some way agree with me, then I suggest you take it serious and realize that when we talk about dark times coming and cold winters and storms and tsunamis and all these things that are coming, and I'm talking figuratively, not literally, that's the kind of storm that's approaching us, folks. It's the wrath and of God, and the ending of God's protection and God's blessing over a people. That's way worse than anything Russia or China or the Federal Reserve or the Illuminati or the World Economic Forum or George Soros or any of those people can do to us. Think about that. The wrath of God is way bigger than that. Him saying, fine, you want this? I'm removing my blessings and protection over you, and I'm going to let you have your way with yourselves. Give you over to your wicked, lascivious ways. Go for it. You want it? Have it. That's way worse than all this other stuff, folks. Get ready. Get planned up, stocked up, prayed up. Get it all ready. Because as it starts pouring in, at some point, it's like a snowball. Starts out small, and at some point, it gets to that exponential growth size that it's big, and it's just going to start getting massively bigger. And that's what we have to deal with. And that's why I believe when Yeshua says that those that endure to the end, because endurance is not a pleasant word. It doesn't bring up pleasant notions in your head that, oh, it's going to just be having a nice, relaxful Sunday afternoon, after Sunday morning services and, eating my fried chicken and watching my basketball game. That's not endurance, folks. Those that endure to the end will be saved. And you better be ready for that kind of endurance. Because the way this world is going, I'm afraid this rock bottom that we hit may be the hardest human history has ever seen. Folks, get your houses in order. Prepare mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you in the next video.